Hello out there. Welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast. We have a terrific show today focused on being a soldier for life. Colonel David Grant and Master Sergeant Lorena Wilson from the United States Army Soldier for Life Directorate join us to talk about the organization's 4 key focus areas and to provide some great information about programs available to our military community. You won't want to miss this one. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Your Next Mission video podcast, where we tell the stories of those who have served in the past and those who are serving today. From transition to financial wellness, VA benefits to mental health, we cover issues facing veterans, active military, and their families. Now here's your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army and co-founder of the American Freedom Foundation, Jack L. Tilley.
Hello out there, warriors past and present, your families, and thank you for your service to our great country. Now, before we get started, I personally want to thank our presenting sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, and USAA for making Your Next Mission happen. They love our veterans and families, and as I always say, we love them too. As I said earlier, we have a great show today focused on the United States Army Soldier for Life program. And I'm excited to introduce Colonel David A. Grant, Director of the United States Army Soldier for Life, and Master Sergeant Lorena J. Wilson, Senior Enlisted Advisor for Soldier for Life. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you, Sergeant Major of the Army Tilley.
Hey, Master Sergeant Wilson, quit smiling and say something. Hello, how you doing?
I was waiting for the Colonel to... Hey, SMA, it's great to be here. We're looking forward to this great conversation.
All right. Well, I hope we have a great conversation. I'm sure we will. But before we do that, why don't each one of you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and, take a minute or so. We'll start with the Colonel Grant. Tell the audience about who you are.
Thank you. My name is David Grant. I'm Director of the Army's Soldier for Life program. And for the past 2 years, it's just been an amazing experience for several reasons. First of all, in this position, I have an opportunity to directly support soldiers, veterans, and military families. And throughout my career, I've had the opportunity and the fortunate benefit to serve in positions where it's all about helping individuals, helping soldiers. Whether when I was at the admissions department at West Point as an outreach officer, when I was a recruiting battalion commander, or chief of officer of sessions at the Pentagon. Those jobs are the ones that I remember where I was having a direct impact. And here in Soldier for Life, that's what we have an impact on soldiers, veterans, and military family members.
Yeah, you have an important job, and what you guys do is about helping our families and service members. There's no question. Why? I certainly appreciate what you're doing there. Master Sergeant Wilson, how about yourself? Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you got a big smile there because I can see that, but go ahead.
Yeah, SMA, I've been doing this for about 27 years. I hail from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. I have a beautiful family that we have spent a lot of time at many different places, from Fort Gordon, Georgia to Fort Eustis, of course, the many deployments, and to be able to finish it out with Soldier for Life, an amazing opportunity that takes care of our soldiers, veterans, and families. I think this is my best assignment to be able to close out my career, and it's been a great ride.
Well, I tell you something, I always tell people, I had 36 years in the Army, you have 27. So if you don't stay 36, I'm going to have to call you a quitter.
Absolutely not, SMA. I don't believe in quitting, but I believe in stopping.
That's right. I'm with you. Hey, Colonel Grant, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Soldier for Life and really how did it evolve over the years?
Absolutely. Soldier for Life, 2012 is when Soldier for Life was first started. Employment was its focus. At that time period, the Army was spending hundreds of millions of dollars in unemployment benefits on soldiers who had transitioned. And veteran unemployment was clearly an issue. Over time, employment numbers have improved for the veteran population. So Soldier for Life has had the ability to take on other areas of focus. We've had the ability, in addition to employment, to take on health and wellness, education, and community outreach as our lines of effort. So really excited to have those core lines of effort, because those areas, as long as an issue or topic impacts those areas, Soldier for Life will get involved and see if there's ways that we can raise awareness or improve those policies or programs.
It's really funny you say it, because when I was on active duty, we was paying, the DOD was paying God, what did I say, $1 billion a year? And the Army itself was paying $500 million for unemployment. And so I always said to me, well, the problem is we just don't start that process soon enough. And they're just sort of waiting until the last second to get out, and there's no jobs for them. It takes a while to get employment. Being a soldier and a military dependent can be really challenging. Now, Sergeant Wheeler, do you think most people still on active duty really understand all the support that is available, really for them when they get out of the service?
SMA, I'm going to tell you right now, no. I don't think they see all these resources because I didn't know any of them until I came to Soldier for Life. I may have known a couple. I'm a little old school, so I'll say, I knew it through ACAP, and now we call it TAP. But there's so many out there that I had a conversation today with a master sergeant and was just explaining a couple of them that we deal with, and he had no clue. So, I mean, that's why we're here, to get this message out and keep teaching, and hopefully getting this message shared with leadership, and through this platform right here with you, SMA, is so they can learn a little more and dive a little deeper and find out that there is a multitude of resources out there for them as they transition, but also while they're in.
Yeah, the really problem is, one is, I think there's so many different website and platforms and stuff, and I think they get a little confused. I always thought they should have one platform that gives you all the information that you can go to for, active duty veterans and spouses and stuff. The other thing is, we do probably a not so good job in preparing people to get out of the service. I mean, we think we do. It's 2 years out or a year out or whatever. And let's be honest about one thing. Most people don't take that 2 years. They take probably a year now. They think, well, geez, I'll get out and I'll find a job real quick. Well, the answer is you won't. It takes you 6 months to a year. One other thing I want to tell you about benefits and entitlements there a little bit. Most people don't know anything about their benefits and entitlements, right? And they don't know what it's like to really find employment out of the military. So they need to start educating us about their transition, about the culture they're going to move into, about the changes, what's going to occur, about networking, all the other stuff. So I think there's just a lot of things that we're doing that we should be doing a little bit differently, I guess. Here's one more thing, and I'll sort of get off my high horse here, is that people that give us transition classes, getting out of the military, are talking about this stuff, most of them have never been out of the military. Because they retired, they went to that job, and then they start teaching us how to get out of the service. We should start looking at people that have been out 10 years, bring them back and start educating them about that. Now, that's probably most people don't want to do that, but the answer is you need to find people like, not me, but people that's been out like me, that really started a business, wrote a book, did a lot of different stuff, that can really sort of educate somebody about the process of getting out of service. Sir, do you think that they're fully aware of all the resources available for them? Of course, same question, I guess.
Absolutely not. First of all, there are thousands of resources that are out there. But secondly, individuals need to have the motivation while they're serving on active duty to start preparing for that next chapter. And I think that's what some individuals don't have. People may not start taking it seriously until they see that, hey, this is really coming close. But in Soldier for Life, our emphasis is the fact that from the time you join the Army, from the time you raise your right hand, your Soldier for Life journey begins then.
Absolutely.
Not when you get your retirement orders or your ETS orders. It begins when you join the Army, and throughout your time in the Army, take advantage of the opportunities, whether it's tuition assistance, credentialing, the host of opportunities that are there to help better prepare yourself for your time while you're serving as a soldier and for life after the Army.
Yeah. One of well, I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. The worst people about that are usually senior NCOs and senior officers, right? Because the problem is, let's be honest, the problem is they're sort of, whatever's going to happen to them is going to happen. For the senior NCOs, it's sort of a mixed bag there a little bit. For the officers, they're sort of set. And I think because there's not enough emphasis on that, we should be talking about this in our educational programs, in non-commissioned officer and officer education program, about transitioning out of the military, about the big one for me now, and I've talked a lot about this here, I guess, lately, is the culture shock. About, you're going to talk about in a few minutes about the dead gap, I think it was. But I think there's a culture shock when you get out that people struggle with. Hey, sir, we're going to go in depth in a minute on each of these. What are the, and I just want you to tell me again, you said it just a minute ago, what are the key lines of efforts for Soldier for Life, and how do they align for a successful career in transitioning? Could you tell me what those are again? You said them a minute ago, too.
Right, absolutely. Health and wellness, education, employment, and community outreach. And community outreach cuts through the other three: health and wellness, education, and employment. All of those areas, they're all tied together to help a soldier be successful throughout his or her career and during that transition into civilian life.
Yeah, the problem is, and Master Sergeant, you said it a minute ago, is that they wait too long and they don't think about that. They're so focused on their jobs, which they should be, because let's be honest about one thing. Our job is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And really what that boils down to, I hate to say this, but maybe I don't hate to say this, is about, being professional enough to stop people or kill people if I have to do that. And that's a big mission. There is no second best in our profession. They're not going to say you're number 2, now you can go. If you're not number 1 in everything we do, we got a problem. This is a great discussion, so hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're talking with Colonel David A. Grant and Master Sergeant Lorena Wilson from U.S. Army Soldier for Life, and you're watching Your Next Mission video podcast with me, your host, Jack L. Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army. Always like to emphasize that. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this discussion, please like us. Click on that subscribe button below. Also, click on the bell next to the subscribe button to receive notifications of all of our upcoming video podcasts. Sir, let's start with employment. How can a Soldier for Life transition from military service member find a job and hopefully a career path in this transition? Give them some advice there.
Absolutely. With Soldier for Life, here in our program, we help to connect soldiers with opportunities that are out there, and we also help to connect businesses and nonprofits with the Army, especially if they're not familiar with ways to gain access or to gain access to transitioning soldiers or military spouses. So Soldier for Life is kind of like a connector. When it comes to advice that I would give to a soldier who's transitioning right now, I would tell them to essentially take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. For example, there's one program called ETS sponsorship, where ETS sponsorship helps to connect transitioning soldiers with sponsors, VA certified and trained sponsors in the community where that soldier says that they're going to go.
Yeah. We talked about something on the prep call too. I've talked to so many people about making sure that when people get out of the military, they have some type of sponsor, because I don't think that'll help them with that transition out of the military. I think that's a great idea. How's that program working? Is it working pretty good?
Oh, absolutely. It's working very, very well. ETS sponsorship, it's a nonprofit organization, and they manage and execute this program. And it's working well in the fact that they help to identify soldiers who are potentially at risk. Also, when soldiers sign up for ETS sponsorship, they fill out a survey of sorts, and that survey indicates that they need support in addition to needing a sponsor. But do you need employment support? Do you need housing support? Are you food insecure? Are there any medical concerns? And I kind of see them as a safety net, where those counselors at ETS sponsorship, the employees at ETS sponsorship, when they see that a soldier has highlighted areas where they're at risk, and they help to make sure that they're connected to get the correct support. And just off the top of my head, for example, when a transitioning soldier indicates that he or she is food insecure, ETS sponsorship has a program where they provide digital food cards from HEB to those soldiers, to those transitioning soldiers, so to help them with their food insecurity problem. So they help that way, among other ways too.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, it's good that you're doing that, and you need a sponsor. Do they help them financially with problems they have too? Is there if they're don't have enough to pay their rent or something like that, or there's somebody that does the same kind of stuff there? Do they help them with that?
They would help connect them with the appropriate resources so they can take care of those problems. So yes, the answer is yes. But the key thing with ETS sponsorship is with that nonprofit is that the survey that the soldier fills out, it's helping them to identify the potential problems that individual may have, and then they can go out and connect them with the appropriate resources.
Yeah, I'm an old guy, so this probably, I don't know if it makes sense or not. I think that we have to teach people how to live within their means. When I grew up as a kid, I was a poor kid. In fact, I don't know if I told you guys, the last couple of years I was at home, I lived in a laundry room, just big enough for a single bed. I had to pick my feet up and close the door. That door came right to the edge of the bed, little single bed, little vent I could look out, 3 shelves. And my mother, father divorced. We didn't have any money. So I only say that because I know how much $1 or $5 or $10 go, and I know what it's like not to have money to eat lunch, which is tough. So when I got married, my wife came from a poor family, so we've been really, I wouldn't say cheap, but maybe we should use cheap, sort of thrifty as we grew up and saved and paid everything off. And I think nowadays, a credit card's a great thing to have, but it also can be a downfall. People use that credit card like it's going out of style, and they, raise a lot of bills and stuff. I think one more thing I'm going to say, but they ought to put financial education in Soldier for Life transition. We ought to talk more about financial education and make sure they really, and we'll talk about in a minute about education. Everybody has, if you went through the Army for a few years, you got at least an associate's degree, or pretty doggone close. So I think we ought to, that'll help them open up a few more doors. Master, what about spouses? Do they have, I know they have even a harder time when it comes to employment. I don't know what the numbers are. Do you know what the numbers are, unemployment spouses in the military?
I would have to look into that, SMA, as far as to get absolute numbers. But they do. We've seen it, and we've seen it from Europe to, of course, still within the States. The issues that the spouses go through for unemployment. It's the moving with the service member. It's having to relocate, having to try to move that job and finding something completely new. We were in Europe, and we've seen the spouses that had master's degree, and they were having to take a job in a child care facility because that's all that there was. But in order to keep their family together, that's what they did. That was that sacrifice. So our spouses always sacrifice. I've seen some of the good as far as there's, some of the federal government jobs giving military preference. And that was one of the things we've tried to champion as well with other corporations to say, we know you give the veteran preference. What about the spouse preference if they're in the area? Just trying to do things like that, working with groups to make sure our spouses are taken care of, because they do. They sacrifice a lot to continue to stay with and move with the service members so that we can take care of our nation. And there's still the continuous employment issues that we see out there.
Yeah.
They've gotten better. They've highlighted them, and I'm glad that it is at a forefront, but we've got work to do.
Yeah, I was going to say also dependence, taking care of dependence and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is bad on me. I never watched my kids grow up. I tell this story all the time. I never watched my kids grow up. They had birthdays and missed Christmas, because I stayed a long time, and I was focused 100% on the military all the time. And because of that, I probably made some decisions I wish I'd have did a little bit differently there. But we need to do a better job, just like you're talking about, of helping our spouses get employment, because you're right. There's a lot out there. They bring a lot to the table. And let's be honest about something. Colonel Grant, I know that you're married. Who makes the decisions in your household? I don't know.
My wife does.
Well, the answer is, I mean, I'm not going to make a decision unless I clear it with my wife. And she, God bless her, she does the same thing. She'll call me and say, I'm going to do this, but it's not like she's asking my approval. She's just telling me she's going to do it. But but it's a team effort to accomplish all the missions. So that's really important, sir, for all of us. Sir, how important is education to making a successful transition?
education is key. Where you mentioned leaving with an associate's degree, and that's the key, is leaving with a degree to at least you're one step up, as opposed to getting ready to transition, being 12 months out and realizing that you're several credits short, or you haven't even started working towards your degree. And education, not just in the case of a degree, but also education in the case in the sense of credentialing, where the Army has a program which will help soldiers financially towards obtaining credentialing. Fortunately, SMA, the Army has programs such as the Career Skills Program. So whether you look at education from the sense of academic education, or you're looking at education from the sense of learning to be a plumber, a mechanic, an electrician, or some special skill, the Army's Career Skills Program, within the last 180 days that the soldiers in the Army, they can participate in a career skills program and work with a company, be educated on learning a skill, and this skill is aimed at employment, where you learn these skills during your final 180 days, working with a company that's teaching you. It could be BMW, the motor company, going through their career skills program. They have one at Fort Liberty. And then when you're done with the program, the expectation is, the goal is that you have employment. So education comes in different ways, obviously not all academic, but the key is to be doing something, to learn something, so you're doing better. And fortunately, the Army has and supports the Career Skills Program, which is one way to help soldiers, especially those who are most at risk. When I say at risk, referring to the most junior soldiers, and also the soldiers who didn't have the opportunity to complete a degree while they were in the Army.
I would tell you that a lot of times, unfortunately, I bet you, here we go again, I bet you a lot of senior officers don't do it, senior NCOs don't do it, and they don't take the time because I'm needed too much to do that. They need to do the same thing. They need to find a job. The other thing I'll tell you again, there's so many schools out there now that'll take your basic training, advanced individual training, any schooling that you have, and give you, 10, 15 hours sort of associate's degree, so you can get an education. But you're really right about getting certified in whatever, a truck driver, a welder, whatever, because those are high-paying jobs, and they're good-paying jobs. But you need to have something before you get out of the service, and that goes back to your comment about we're paying less money on unemployment because we're doing a better job of that. Master Sergeant, you want to add anything to that?
Sir, SMA, I believe he covered it all. When it comes back to just us taking care of ourselves, our NCOs, our officers, taking care of ourselves and being prepared and being ready. And when we talk about employment, being ready to go out there, whether it was with that degree or with certifications. I've seen many senior NCOs go out and they don't have that degree, but they have the experience from what they've done. We've had a master sergeant that go out. He said, I'm 6 credits shy of a degree, but I've done this for 20 years. I've had hundreds of soldiers under me as a first sergeant, or when I was an acting sergeant major. I've been able to plot, plan, manage, logistically be over a lot of equipment. Why am I not, without this degree, horrible? So that was one of the things when we first came to Soldier for Life. When I first came in, that was something we advocate and we still do, to say, we know they'll get there. And if you give them the opportunity to come into your place of employment and show you what they can do, because our soldiers, whether NCO officer, 3 years, 23 years, have the ability to come in and make a change for you, because we adapt very well. We can be in multiple different positions, and it's just about taking that experience and using it and giving our transitioning service members that opportunity as well.
Yeah, I used to work for a company, and they used to ask me who they should hire, and I said, hire a senior NCO. There's nothing they can't do, nothing to get off. But if you look at some of these senior NCOs, they work real hard and they haven't got the education, and they haven't got, if they wanted something, and sometimes they're a little hesitant to ask for help when they do need help until they get out of the service, and that's unfortunate. But there's a lot of people out there who help. And the military has done a great program implementing all these things to help people, but when they get out of service. But really, the bottom line is, it was back to your comment right at the beginning, sir. It's about saving money, which is okay, but it's the right decision. It certainly is the right decision. Hey, we got a great discussion. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we want to talk about health and wellness in the community right after we take a quick, I don't know if it's going to be quick or not, commercial break. So I'll be right back. We got a lot more to talk about, so don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching your Next Mission video podcast.
You're watching Your Next Mission video podcast, proudly presented by Navy Federal Credit Union, the most trusted credit union owned by members of the military community, serving all branches of the armed forces and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Purdue Global. You're ready for a comeback, and with Purdue Global, you can do more than take classes. You can take charge of your story, of your career, of your life. Earn a degree you can be proud of and get an education employers respect. Start your comeback at PurdueGlobal.edu. USAA.
A promise is a trust not to be broken, whether spoken with an oath or sealed with a pinky. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community and their families. That's our mission, always.
Now back to your host, the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, Jack L. Tilley.
Welcome back. We're blessed to be here today with Colonel David A. Grant, Director of the United States Army Soldier for Life, and Master Sergeant Lorena J. Wilson, Senior Enlisted Advisor for Soldier of Life. And I want all of our viewers to reach out to me directly. Tell us about your transition. It's so important for us to help you in any way we can. Tell us what topics you'd like us to cover. This is not my show. There's 17 million veterans out there. This is our show. You can call or text me at 844-424-1134. And guess what? I'll reach back out to you. Or send me an email at smatilley@yournextmission.org. We're heading into our final segment with you, and I hope you enjoyed just as much as I have. I just have a couple of more questions. Master, when it comes to health and wellness, certainly mental health is a huge part of that. In your prep call, you brought up a term that I never heard before, and that was a deadly gap. Would you explain, what that refers to, and then let's talk about it, what we can do to address that a little bit more. That.
Absolutely. So, and Colonel Grant, if you need a caveat in here, what we call the deadly gap is that first year out of the military as they come out and they're trying to adjust to being out of the military, to getting employment, to needing services. And that's when, if they don't get those or they weren't prepared, that's usually when we're seeing an uptick in the suicides.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the problem is when you get out of the service, and it's like everything else. And I talked to the Association of the United States Army today. We was talking about we're trained to keep everything close to our chest and not talk about it. And we don't tell much about what we do in the military. In fact, most of the time when somebody asks you, so what do you do in the military? Well, I can't tell you about that. Whether or not you're a truck driver or I don't care. I can't talk to you, which is good. That's the way you want. But when you get out, we got to tell our story. We got to be more open. We got to let people do it. And I think what happens on that deadly gap, which is a great way to say it, is people get out, go home, sit on the couch, and then who knows what happens. So we need to do another job about that. And it's really sad. I've told this story probably a whole lot of times, probably more than I should, but I had a good friend that I knew for years, really all the time I was in the military. And I think I'd been out of just a few years out of the Army, not real long, but he committed suicide. And the way he did it, his wife left, and he let the dog out in the backyard, walked down to a field or something, or some woods, and went in there and committed suicide. And it breaks my heart because we don't talk to people enough. We need to be very open about, I used to laugh at people and say, you're about your feelings, but something, we got to talk more. We got to communicate more. I mean, whether or not you're a general or a private, we're all served in the military and we're all part of a family. And we need to do all we can to help as many people as we can. Sir, you want to add anything to that?
Absolutely. Staying connected and having someone you can turn to is critical. I've spoken to too many friends who have transitioned out, and they've expressed how they've gone into depression after the transition, because one, sometimes they feel like they're alone. Sometimes they're not sure what their next mission is. They don't know what they should do next. It's not, the depression isn't always about, hey, I can't find a job, where some individuals do find jobs and they're fine in the employment area, but just feeling like they're not on the same team anymore. That's a very big deal. And I think it's important for soldiers and transitioning soldiers and family members to know that those types of emotions and challenges may come, and so they can better be prepared for them and for dealing with them.
Yeah, we talked today, I talked to some other group of people, and we talked about our tribe. They call it a tribe, our community. And we're all part of a tribe, we're all part of a military, but you're a pretty tight net group of people. And all of a sudden you're thrown out there by yourself. In fact, I always used to joke with my wife. I'd say, I'm the senior enlisted non-commissioned officer for 1.3 million people, which is pretty impressive. When I got out of the service, I said something to my wife, and she says, now, and my wife looked at me and she says, now it's just me and you. And she's right. It's just me and you, and all those resources I had, all the things I had around me I could get done. There wasn't nobody else there. In fact, I had a computer, and when I was in the military, if my computer broke, I'd call IT. They'd come up and fix my computer. And I had a computer. I ain't going to tell you what kind it was, but I came in and it broke. And I said, man, who am I going to call? My wife said, well, I guess you got to call down there and pay somebody to fix that computer. And you don't really think about little things like that, but that's really important. It's about having the trust and confidence. I'll also tell you that if you haven't talked to somebody for 10 years and you pick the phone up and call them, it's like you talked to them yesterday. And that's why when we talked about sponsorship, about staying connected, about communicating with each other, it's so critical and so important for all of us. Sir, the fourth component of the United States Army Soldier for Life program is community outreach. And why is that important to your organization?
Oh, it's critical. It's central to everything that we do. Soldier for Life, we're all based here in Crystal City, all 21 of us, and our team from Crystal City here in Virginia. We will travel throughout the country to connect with communities around the country, overseas, in order to help tell the Army story, in order to show Soldiers for Life support in those communities. It's critical. I'm excited to say that in FY23, we're on target to have had productive engagements in all states this year. We made a deliberate effort to connect with veteran service organizations, community leaders, all sorts of military organizations and community organizations in every state to start building relationships.
Yeah, we need to figure out, and I say we, the Army or the military, needs to figure out how to talk to Middle America. I joked a little bit about this. I wish there was I don't know if anybody watched it or not, but I wish there was like a television show once a week on national television that talked about the struggles of the military. You get stuff like that on the History Channel, but I think the problem is people just don't know. And I don't think they don't care, but it's not in their, it's not in their house. It's not going home with them every night. And so they just, they want to be supportive of the military, but in a lot of cases, they don't know what the military is doing because we don't tell them enough. We don't tell them the kind of, I had when I just before I was leaving the Pentagon, I want to tell you in fact, I don't remember the guy's name, but we had a soldier that was an operator that killed 4 people. And the last one he killed with his hands in Afghanistan. And you think about those kind of stories that's just one instant where we did something like that. But you think about this, he was a sergeant first class, to tell you the truth. But you think about the kind of struggles and sacrifices that our service members make for this country, and there's just no way to tell them. The fact of the matter is, unless you walk in our boots, you don't get it. And it's hard for people to understand. And sometimes I really, I wish even our political leaders would understand a little bit more. I mean, I know they think good and they want to do all they can, but it's one thing doing it, it's another thing talking about it. So that's really tough. Hey, first of all, let me say, Thank you for what you're doing. And Colonel Grant, thanks for your service. I know you're going to retire. It's a little way down the road, but thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do, and for your service. And Master Wilson, I don't know if you're going to retire. It sounds like you're going to retire here not too long in the road, don't you? But thank you. Yeah, well, that's okay. But thank you for your service. Just know that if I can ever help you in any way, I'm an easy guy to find. Just reach out to me, and if we can help you. Also, I'll tell you that, this year in the Association of United States Armies conference, we're going to have a hiring event, sir. I think it's like 30 or 40 companies that'll be there. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 30, but they're hiring people. They're looking for people like both of you. So come on down to bring a resume, or however they do it down there. I think they even help you write a resume. But come on down, check it out. Maybe you can find something you want to do. It's usually around that DC area. There's a lot of employment there. In fact, nowadays, it doesn't matter where you live. You can work anywhere. You can live anywhere, work anywhere, I guess. But there's a lot of jobs out there, a lot of good paying jobs. So, hey, again, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and I'd appreciate what all you guys are doing, and keep up the good work. Any final thoughts, anything that you want to share with the audience, sir? We'll start with you. Anything maybe we missed?
Well, absolutely. You mentioned the struggles of the military, and yes, there are struggles. But I also say that there's no better time than now to be a soldier for life. When I travel throughout the country, I emphasize that in this position, I've seen firsthand that this is the time to be a soldier. This is the time to be a soldier for life, where I see the thousands of companies that want to hire transitioning soldiers, and they want to hire transitioning soldiers and veterans because they see the value of hiring someone who's been in the military. And that is such a to me, that's just such a great feeling when I get the phone call from a company and they say, hey, how do we hire more soldiers? And then I introduce them to the Army's Partnership for Your Success program or the Career Skills program. I let them know about those programs because companies want to have soldiers on their team, and plus all the support. I also say this: there's no time like now to be a soldier because of all the support that the Army and the government is putting into taking care of soldiers. I can't think of any other segment of the population that has so many people rooting for them and behind them. When you look at the VA, you look at the thousands of nonprofit organizations that are out there providing support. I just want everyone to know that this is a great time to be a soldier. If you're thinking about joining the Army team, this is a great time to be part of the Army team. And if you're thinking of supporting soldiers, veterans, and military families, this is a great time to do it.
Well, I just say that the Army changed my life. It made me a better person, hopefully a better person. Probably depends on who you talk to about that, but it made me a better person, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed every day to stay in the Army, and I'll never forget, and I'll always do all I can for the United States Army. Master Sergeant Wilson, you want to say that? Maybe you're going to give us a website and a phone number or anything else that you want to say?
So yes, SMA, I will tell you, I will caveat off of Colonel Grant and what you have said as well. I was a young girl coming off the Pine Ridge Reservation and had no sense about me. And I came into the military and it did wonders. I came in, and this is going to kind of tell you how long I've been in. I came in under the old be all you can be, and I'm leaving out under the new be all you can be. So that was a great motto, obviously. So I get to, start and finish, but it has taught me, discipline. It just taught me how to learn multiple different trades. So I say, this is a great opportunity for me. I came in and I was given the ability to have, an education and to be able to, as I say, have another family within the Army. My benefits and my GI Bill is sending my son to a college that is taking all of it, but I'm able to use that for my dependents. So it's just, like Colonel Grant said, it's been an amazing opportunity, an amazing ride, and it's let me see various places of the world. So it was great for me, and I'm so appreciative. But I will tell you, for anyone listening out there, please, whether you come in for 3 or 20, just understand all the resources that are out there, all the educational opportunities out there. Not there is, whether you're transitioning now, you're going to transition 5 years from now. To utilize what is in your toolkit and put more in it, because the Army has done the CSP, and we are doing the health and wellness and making sure everybody's taken care of, because like we said, mental health is the utmost importance. To see sergeant majors getting out and have them say, hey, I wish going through TAP I could have spoke to someone because I'm going through this change and it's affecting me. It's depressing me. This is a whole new world. I've given you my basically my adulthood to a certain point, and now after 30 years, I have to go do something new. So that's what, just to understand, there are resources out there to be able to utilize those and know what's out there and be prepared. You do your resume. If you're going to get certifications, if you're going to finish that degree, just utilize the resources that are available to you, and always ask the question. Always be prepared.
Well said. Hey, is there a website or a phone number? Do you have? Go ahead.
I actually have a couple, and Master Sergeant Wilson, if you have any you want to add, but I'd like to, there's three things I'd like to add right here. I know we touched on ETS sponsorship a couple of times. They provide the sponsors to help soldiers transition, and that website's exactly how it sounds. It's etssponsorship.com, and if you go to that website, you'll see how to sign up. Also tied to ETS sponsorship is onwardops.org. The word onward and ops, and Onward Ops helps transitioning soldiers, and they're connected with ETS sponsorship. I also would like to share, we talked about a sensitive topic, suicide, and we can't overemphasize the use of the VA Suicide Crisis Lifeline 988. That's a number that everyone should know. If they have a buddy who's in crisis, to dial that number to get help for them. And then for the last thing, here in DC, I routinely come across individuals who are unfortunately at times saying they're living on the streets, and some of them identify as veterans. And yes, it's good to give them a couple of bucks while you're there, while you're with them. But it's also good to give them a resource where the VA homeless number. The VA has their crisis number for veterans who are going through homelessness, and that's 877-424-3838. It's good to know those resources, especially when you come across those in need. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing it up. I think it's an important issue. I mean, when you look at the homeless in our country, it's unbelievable. One of the things, I talked to somebody the other day, we talked about, I don't remember the exact number, but we said about 25%, I could be wrong on this a little bit, but 25% of the people that are incarcerated in our country are veterans. And that comes to about 180,000 people, which is unbelievable. So that's we need to do all we can for them. Master Sergeant, you was going to say something else. I don't know if I cut you off or not. Do you have something else you want to say?
No, I didn't. No, SMA, I think that was it. I think I was just closing it out to make sure they take care of themselves and they take care of each other and they reach out.
Well, again, thank you both for coming to the show. You did a marvelous job, and I appreciate it. And thanks for spending time with us today. It's important for us to tell all we can about being a soldier for life. And I tell people all the time, I'm getting older every day, but I am and will always be a soldier for life. So God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to Colonel David A. Grant and Master Sergeant Lorena J. Wilson for being with us today. I'm Jack L. Tilley, 12th Sergeant Major of the Army, and you've been watching Your Next Mission video podcast. And thanks for joining us today. Please visit our website at yournextmission.org and leave me a review. I always say, I hope it's a good review. But if it's a bad one, well, okay, but I hope it's a good one. You can also visit our nonprofit or corporate partners there, where you can see all the jobs and services that are available that will assist you in your transition from the military. We want to assist you any way we can, and I'm always going to say that twice. We want to assist you any way we can. We're here for you. We're part of a family. You can follow me on all my personal social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Rumble. And if you've enjoyed the discussion with Colonel Grant and Master Sergeant Wilson, please like us. Click on that subscribe button below. Don't forget to click on the bell next to the subscribe button for notifications about all of our upcoming video podcasts. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. Please leave me a message or send me a text at 844-424-1134, or send me an email at SMA Tilley at yournextmission.org. Thanks again to Colonel Grant and Master Sergeant Lorena Wilson for joining us today. It was just great having them on the show. And I said it just a minute ago, but I'm going to say it again. I'm a soldier for life. I'll always be a soldier till the day I die. The Army took care of me. And you know, not just, I talk about the Army, but it's all service. It took care of me, and it allowed me to be, you know, all I could be all I can be. And if you want to join a great organization that cares about you, if you want people to help you each and every day, you want to have another family besides the one you currently have, join the military. But don't forget, make sure you're prepared to get out of the service. Make sure you go to Soldier for Life and Transition Program and look at the resources that are available for you. And there's a lot of them out there that you just don't use, that are just sitting there waiting for you. And again, don't forget, we want to help you and work on that education. Get as much education as you can. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks to New Mind Studios and, of course, our presenting sponsors, Navy Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, and USAA. We appreciate all you do for our military. And as always, see you on the high ground. Hooah!
You've been listening to Your Next Mission, brought to you by the American Freedom Foundation. Learn more by visiting yournextmission.org.